What's up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we're going to recap the Week 4 game between the Dragons and the BattleHawks, going over all the fantasy stats for this game. But hey, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button before we get started, which is right now. Alright guys, so breaking this game down, final score on this one, St. Louis 23, Seattle 16. But this was really a tale of two halves, and overall just a lot of interesting information we're going to try to piece together for you guys very quickly. Seattle started the game out with Brandon Silvers. Brandon Silvers was playing terribly through the first half. From the first half to the second half, they finally switched over to go to BJ Daniels, who we'd kind of been touting for a while, hoping that they would give BJ Daniels a try. Sure enough, they did, and he looked much better than Brandon Silvers. But wasn't enough for the Dragons to come back. On the St. Louis side, they looked good on both sides of the ball, continuing a strong performance with Jordan Ta'amu. Now, I am a little bit concerned with their overall nature to play very conservatively. Towards the end of the first half, they had their foot on the throat of the Dragons, and they basically just let off the gas. They had an entire minute left and a timeout. They could have very easily tried to go down the field and score some more, but they just let the clock run out. So those kind of moves concern me just from a team optics standpoint, because that kind of a move, if they were playing a better team, could have ended up costing them a lot. But overall, hard to find things to nitpick about the way that this BattleHawks team is playing. But anyway, let's get into the fantasy stats for this game, beginning with the Seattle Dragons. All right, so looking at the Dragons, we have, like I said, Brandon Silvers, 4 for 10, only 27 yards, no interceptions, but just not pushing the envelope at all. Just terrible play here from Brandon Silvers. And then switching over to BJ Daniels in the second half, he went 5 for 10, so only 50% completion percentage, but he had 100 yards, had a touchdown, did have a pick on the day, but he also had 7 carries for 84 yards, which is exactly what this team needed, a running threat from the quarterback. I think that what we're seeing right now is the quarterbacks that have the ability to push the envelope, if they're not going to be accurate deep down the field, they at least need to be able to run the football. Kind of similar to what we see a lot in college. Like, having that ability is going to keep defenses on their toes and will give this offense life. So I think that they're going to move forward with BJ Daniels as their quarterback. Not sure how much that helps their receivers, but it should definitely help the team, and it will help their running backs too, because it definitely opens things up for them. Speaking of the running backs, the only guy here to really mention that even had anything worth talking about was Kenneth Farrow. He looked much better than Jaquan Gardner and Troy Williams did in this game. He had 5 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. Also had 2 catches on 3 targets for 14 yards. Had another catch that they ruled it as incomplete, but I think it was actually a catch, so who knows. But Kenneth Farrow looking much better in this one. He's going to be someone that you're going to try to buy low as this team continues to improve with BJ Daniels. I would look for Kenneth Farrow to get a lot more looks going forward. Okay, jumping over to the receivers, there's really not too much to talk about here based on there only being 9 completed passes in this game between the quarterbacks. Austin Proehl, 1 catch, 1 yard on 5 targets. Keenan Reynolds, 1 catch, 4 yards on 4 targets. Keenan Reynolds definitely had a day to forget. That is, he fell down on 1 catch that went his way and just didn't look nearly as sharp in this one as he had been. Dantes Bird there with 3 targets, 1 catch for 5 yards. And then Alonzo Moore had 1 breakaway catch in the second half with BJ Daniels. He was also targeted on that 3-point conversion play. So maybe something to note there with BJ Daniels looking more towards Alonzo Moore's way. But overall, I think this team is in desperate need of getting Kason Williams back. We'll see how this team looks once that happens. But overall, just not much going on in the receiving game here for the Dragons. Their defense played admirably, but nothing. They couldn't do anything to stop Jordan Ta'amu, who's just been pretty much unstoppable since the start of the season. All right, jumping over to the St. Louis BattleHawks. Now, looking at the BattleHawks here, we have again Jordan Ta'amu, 20 for 27, 74% completion rate, 264 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown, and also had 16 carries for 63 yards. Now, I am a little bit concerned about the way that he's taking these carries. He's not sliding on a lot of his carries. He's taking a lot of big hits, which, I mean, he's been able to shoulder it so far. He's a pretty big guy. Hopefully there isn't any concern for that going forward, but I don't like seeing a quarterback get hit as much as Jordan Ta'amu did in this one. Hopefully they find a way to keep him safe throughout the rest of the season. I think he definitely should be considered in the MVP category. He's not lighting up the scoreboard as much as PJ Walker is, but I think that he is really showing a lot of poise and just a lot of strength and grit, and should definitely lead St. Louis to have a very good chance at taking the first XFL title here. Other running backs on the day, Matt Jones, 15 carries, 20 yards. Definitely a day to forget for Matt Jones. Christian Michael, 12 for 27. And then Keith Ford coming in and vulturing the touchdown again. 3 attempts for 23 yards and 1 touchdown. Also had 1 reception for 5 yards. This is the second time now that Keith Ford has been active, and he ended up having a pretty explosive play that got him into the end zone. Even though the BattleHawks haven't used him a lot, if that continues, look for his usage to continue to trend up, which would definitely hurt the stock of both Matt Jones and Christian Michael. So just something to keep an eye on. But only 3 carries. It's still very interesting to see how much they're going to deploy him going forward. Okay, jumping over to the receivers, DeMornay Pearson-L, fantastic day. 5 receptions for 71 yards and 1 touchdown. Only real mistake was on the 2-point play where they did a reverse to him. He could have easily just trotted into the end zone to get the 2-point conversion. Instead, he tried to throw the ball as he did last week, and he just missed a wide open Marcus Lucas in the end zone. Would have been, like I said, very easy for him to just run in. So only mistake on the day, but ended up not hurting him in the long run. Damian Washington, 6 targets, 4 catches for 41 yards. You'll take that. Lonzo Russell, only 1 catch for 7 yards, barely used in this one. We actually saw Brandon Riley see a lot more work. 3 catches on 5 targets for 46 yards. He's playing back up in the slot to DeMornay Pearson-L, but he's been getting used more and more in the passing game as time has gone on. And then Keith Mumphrey with the long 43-yard catch, 2 for 51 on the day. So spreading the ball around here as a professional quarterback would, but DeMornay Pearson-L definitely coming through with a good day through the air. And then also Marcus Lucas, 3 catches for 16 yards. Okay day for tight ends in this league. You'll take any tight end that's getting more than 3 targets. So very good performance on the defense as well, keeping the Dragons to very few passing yards, very few rushing yards. They did get those 2 touchdowns to make this game look a lot closer, but don't be fooled by the scoreboard. The BattleHawks had this one in hand pretty much the entire game. So that was my recap for this game. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're looking for stats, rankings, waiver advice, anything that you need to be able to manage your fantasy league, click that link in the description. Go to fantasyaddictionnetwork.com. And then for more videos like this one, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.